Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohammed Daniyal Niazi. My roll number is 23 ME56 and I am leader of this uh, presentation. Uh, Today uh, we are presenting a project on engineering economics, but instead of just reading the formulas of a slide, we're going to show you how each chapter concept applies to real business decision. Every chapter you are about to see is paired with different industry, uh, technology, agriculture, oil and gas, government infrastructure, and more. So you can see that engineering economics isn't just math. It's how real companies decide where to build their money. So let's start with chapter number one. In chapter number one, uh, uh, it is basically about foundations of engineering economy. I have case study of ride-hailing startup fleet decision. Imagine a ride-hailing startup similar to Cream that wants to launch its own vehicle fleet instead of relying only on partner-owned cars. Before making the decision, the finance team has to follow the exact steps we see in chapter number one. Uh, they will have to uh, identify the problem, gather cash flow data, list alternative, and estimate interest rate they will pay on financing. For example, a company borrows money to buy cars, so the interest rate tells them the cost of borrowed capital. If they instead invested the same money in saving instrument, the rate of return would tell them what they would earn. This is the core idea of chapter number one. Every rupee has a time value, and cash inflows and outflows must be mapped on a cash flow diagram before any comparison can be made. The startup's initial vehicle purchase is an outflow, and monthly ride revenue is um, an inflow. That's the foundation everything else in this course builds on. So now we move toward chapter number two. Chapter number two is about equivalence factors and symbols. In this chapter, I have case study of textile export companies equipment loan. Now let's move to Pakistan textile export sector. A garment factory in Faisalabad wants to take loan to buy new stitching machines. The bank gives them a fixed loan amount today, that is P, and expects a series of equal payments, capital A, over the next 5 years. This is exactly where chapter number two's A by P factor uh, involves. Uh, a, Converting a present loan amount into an equivalent uniform annual payments. If the factory instead wants to know what a machine bought today would be worth in future value terms after 5 years of use, they would apply F by P factor. uh, F by P factor is here, so they will apply this. And if they are relying with a project where cost increases every year, say maintenance cost rising steadily, that's where arithmetic gradient would be applied uh, there. So arithmetic gradient would be applied, that is capital G, comes in while the cost rising by a fixed percentage each year, like rent uses, and the geometric gradient, that is small g. And these factors let engineers translate money across different projects in time using one consistent mathematical language. Now we move towards um, chapter number three. In chapter number 3, we would study combining and shifting um equivalence factors. I have case study of solar power project with delayed subsidy. Consider a solar energy company installing rooftop panels for a housing society. The government offers a subsidy, but it only starts from year 4 and continues to year 10. That is shifted uniform series. This is precisely chapter three's challenge. Real cash flows are rarely simple single payment. Here we have initial installation cost, single capital P, a shifted subsidy, uniform series starting late, and a salvage value when panels are eventually replaced. Using the superposition principle, we can the company can calculate the present worth of each piece separately. The shifted capital A is first moved to year 3 using P by a factor, and then uh, it is uh, and adds that P by F factor adds them together. This mirror real solar and infrastructure financing where public support always doesn't uh, start from day one. So we move toward chapter number 4, that is about nominal and effective interest rates. In this, I have case study of bank comparing credit cards and loan offers. There would be two same cards, but the contract policy would differ. Let me explain this. Like, let's shift to consumer banking. A bank advertises a credit card with 12% annual interest, but is it compounded monthly, quarterly, or daily? This is where chapter 4 becomes essential. A 12% nominal rate compounded monthly doesn't cost the same as 12% compounded daily. The effective annual rate um, will eventually actually be higher the more frequent interest compounds, climbing to 12% annually to 12.75% under daily compounding and reaching its mathematical ceiling under continuous compounding for a consumer comparing for a customer comparing two credit cards with the same advertised rate but different compounding period. Converting both effective annual rates is the only fair way to compare. And it's exactly the trap many people fall into when reading um, the fine print on loan contracts. Uh, See, like annually it's 12%, then for daily it's 12.75%. That is a trick that a bank uses. Now we move towards chapter number 5. Uh, In chapter number 5, I have we will discuss present worth analysis. I have case study of government highway and dam project. Now for public infrastructure, uh, uh, government plans a dam or highway meant to serve the public uh, indefinitely. Engineers can't just calculate present worth for fixed number of years. They need capitalized cost, the present worth of project assumed to last forever. This is chapter 5 specialty, comparing project alternatives using present worth analysis discounted at the minimum attractive rate of return, and that is denoted by capital MARR. For cost only public projects where government isn't earning revenue, just providing a service. The rule is to pick alternative with the lowest cost, but when two dam design designs have different lifespans, and the government must evaluate them over their least common multiple, ensuring a fair for like like comparison rather than comparing a 20-year design to a 40 years one directly. This is the idea of chapter number uh, 5. After that, we move towards chapter number 6. In chapter number 6, we have annual worth analysis. In I have case study of a logistic company's truck fleet decision. Picture a logistic company like TCS or Leopard's Courier deciding between two truck models. One has a 4-year lifespan and the other has 7-year lifespan. Comparing these with present worth would require finding their least common multiple, which is messy. Uh, this is where chapter 6 annual worth uh, analy- analysis shines, since annual worth converts everything into yearly cost. When life cycle tells the whole story. No LCM needed. The company calculates capital recovery, that is denoted by CR, and which represent the annualized cost of owning each truck, accounting for its purchase price, salvage value, and required return. Which truck has the lower total annual worth? Capital recovery plus operating costs is a more economical choice. This is also the exact method fleet managers actually use to decide when to standardize on one vehicle brand. Now we move toward chapter number 7. In chapter number 7, we have internal rate of return analysis. I have case study of oil and gas drilling project, one of the major uh, domain I want to pursue. Let's look at the energy sector. An oil drilling project often has strange cash flow pattern, a large upfront cost, several years of revenue, then a large cost again for well capping and environmental restoration. This creates a non-conventional cash flow with more than one sign change. Chapter number 7 tells uh, um, us that it tells us under discrete rule of signs. This pattern can produce multiple rate of return, uh, meaning the standard IRR equation might solve two different valid interest rates, neither of which is economically meaningful on its own. Engineers resolve this issue using the external rate of return. Uh, uh, method ERR method is basically discounting all outflows at the financing rate and compounding all inflows at the reinvestment rate, then solving for a single rate that equates the two. This is real limitation oil and gas financial analysts deal with uh, constantly. Like this is problem they face every day while analysis. Now we move towards chapter number 8, that is basically about rate of return for multiple alternatives. I have case study of a tech company choosing data center investments. Uh, Imagine a tech company deciding between a smaller data center upgrade costing $1 million with a 50% individual rate of return versus a much larger uh, $100 million data center expansion with only a 20% individual rate of return. Chapter number 8 explains uh, why you cannot just pick the option with the higher percentage return. That's the fallacy of direct comparison. If, because it ignores the scale of investment. Instead, the company calculates the incremental rate of return on the extra $9 million required for the bigger option. If the incremental cost still exceeds the company's MARR, the larger, higher cost projects actually the better decision. Even though its standalone ROI looks smaller, this is exactly how corporations justify large capital expansion over smaller, flashier ones. In chapter number 9, we have benefit cost analysis. I have case study of metro bus transit project. Public transit project. Now consider a government funded metro bus project. Unlike a private company, the government doesn't measure success in pure profit. It measures public benefit against public cost. Chapter number 9 benefits. Uh, uh, Chapter 9's benefit cost ratio captures this perfectly. Benefits include time saved by computers, uh, uh, customers, and reduced traffic accident. This benefit might include noise and property acquisition, and costs are the construction and maintenance expenses, all converted to present worth. If the B/C ratio is greater than or equal to 1, the project is considered economically justified for the public. When comparing two um, transit routes, the government uses incremental B/C analysis, um, and just like the incremental ROR method to avoid the same isn't always better on bigger isn't always better on paper trap. Now we move toward chapter number 10. In this, it discusses WACC and capital financing. WACC is basically weight average cost of capital. Consider uh, my case study in automotive manufacturer building a new plant. In this, consider manufacturer building a new assembly plant financed partly through bank loans, debit, and partly through issuing shares. Equity. Chapter 10's weight average cost of capital formula blends the cost of both funding source, weighted by how much of each is used, and accounts for the fact that debit interest is tax deductible. This weight average cost capital becomes the company's true cost of raising money, and their MARR for eventually the new plant projects must always be set above this WACC, or company would be destroying value by investing in the rate of uh, investing at a return lower than what it cost them to raise the capital in the first place. This single number drives virtually every major investment decision automotive companies make. Now we move toward chapter number 11. In chapter number 11, it discusses about replacement decision and economic service life. Case study, a farmer deciding whether to replace old tractors. In agriculture, a farmer owns an aching tractor, the Defender, the becoming expense to that's becoming expensive to maintain, while a newer, more fuel-efficient tractor, the Challenger, is available to the market. Chapter 11 becomes clear that whether the farmer originally paid for the old tractor is a sunk cost and must be ignored. Only its current trade in value matters. The farmer calculates economic service life and the ownership duration minimizes uh, uh, total annual cost, balancing um, declining capital recovery cost against rising maintenance expense as a tractor ages. This U-shaped cost curve tells the farmer exactly when replacing equipment, not sooner, not later. Makes the most financial sense. Now we move toward chapter number 12, and that is capital budgeting and rationing. I have case study of e-commerce company with a limited budget. Picture an e-commerce platform like Draz with 10 independent potential projects, a new warehouse, app features, delivery fleet expansion, but only a limited annual budget to fund them. Chapter 12 is capital uh, rationing problem applies directly here since these projects are independent, not mutually exclusive. The companies can't just fund every project with a positive present worth using a linear programming model, and they select binary combinations of projects that maximize total present worth while staying within the budget constraint. This is real mathematics behind how large companies build their annual investment portfolios when demand for capital exceeds supply. In chapter number 13, it discusses about break-even and payback analysis. I have case study of a new restaurant branch opening. Financially, uh, if imagine an entrepreneur opening a new restaurant branch before signing the lease, they need to know two things: how many meals must be sold per month just to cover cost, and how long it will take to earn back the initial investment. Chapter 13 answers both. The break-even quantity is founded by dividing fixed cost by the difference between the price and a variable cost per meal, telling the owner the minimum sale volume needed. Separately, payback period analysis estimates how many months of net cash flow it takes to recover initial investment, when the discounted payback version being more realistic since it also accounts for the time value of money. Almost every small business owner performs some version of this analysis before committing capital. So, in this 13 case studies, we have seen engineering economics applied to a ride-hailing startup, textile factory, solar energy, banking, government infrastructure, logistics, oil and gas, big tech, public transit, automotive manufacturing, agriculture, e-commerce, and small restaurant. The math stays the same: present worth, annual worth, rate of return. But the decision it drives through and it drives and touch nearly every industry in the real economy. So that these were my case studies. Thank you for the watching. Now I will add the video of Syed Kazim Anisha. Its roll number is 23 ME 45, and he would give his own case studies. Thank you very much.